Chicago woman files $20 million lawsuit defamation against Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson.
Over social media. Remember this? Well, now she is in London. Put this local woman all over social media. Remember this? Well, now she is taking two former NFL stars to federal court. Tia Ewing sat down with her to talk about the lawsuit and the claims she says crossed the line.
This is the video that took off on social media. Tillman, a Chicago native, took a business trip to London. That's when she learned Usher was in town. That moment turned into entertainment news all over the world. We sat down with her in April, and she made one thing clear.
I am not married. I am very single, ready to mingle.
In this lawsuit, Tillman says two former NFL stars turned podcasters did run with the wrong story.
I think that they should fact check any information that they're claiming about anyone. Just throwing the word allegedly in does not get it done. Do the due diligence.
Tillman's civil suit was originally filed in Cook County Circuit Court on April 24th, just 4 days after another lawsuit was filed against Shannon Sharpe, accusing him of sexual assault, a case he has since settled. Late last month, the suit that Tillman filed moved to federal court in Chicago, alleging libel and defamation. She says on April 12th, Sharpe and his co-host Chad Ochocinco Johnson recorded an episode of their podcast Nightcap where they falsely claimed she was married and going through a divorce after her viral appearance at an Usher concert, implying that she played a role in the breakup.
I think that there needs to be changes at a federal level that is regulating these streamers, these podcasters, and all of these people that are calling themselves news media outlets that are monetizing false information that most people may not have the courage to stand up for themselves. And I say no more.
This screen grab shows the YouTube episode has since been set to private. Tillman says she tried to contact the podcast host and their company directly to correct the record, but received no acknowledgement or retraction. She says it's impacted her life as the director of the Harold Washington Cultural Center and a homeschool advocate.
In your lawsuit, you are asking them to correct the story, to put the truth out there.
Yes, and they have yet to do that.
We did reach out to the podcaster's media company via email for a response about the $20 million civil lawsuit and haven't heard back. Their lawyers must file a response to the lawsuit by August 22nd.
They have yet to even acknowledge the fact that they did what they did.
Tia Ewing, Fox 32, Chicago.
Nah, it would be crazy if they acknowledged it. The case that'll resolve it is New York Times versus Sullivan from 1962. Essentially, it would have to be reckless, intentional, extremely negligent, or whatever for them to do it. The case deals with what happens when you become a public figure. You stand up and you get in front of the public where others can see you, and on a large scale, you become a public figure. So you become wide open. It becomes a question of, even beyond that, is somebody doing something editorially to make comments, which is protected under the First Amendment? Do they have malice where they're trying to talk about you? You see, it's like, what they're trying to stop is, sir, you have insulted me, slap, slap with the gauntlet. I challenge you to a duel. Our seconds will be allowed to can get together tomorrow and we can choose weapons in place. You want to promote public order. You don't want somebody taking stuff in their own hands. And things have changed. Like, for example, there's a New York case, recent New York case, state case, where somebody basically called somebody a very nasty thing having to do with being gay. And the person was straight, but the New York appellate courts ruled that being gay is not an insult, so he could not proceed for defamation of character by calling him something that wasn't an insult. Well, to most people, being called what he got called was a grave insult, but this particular court didn't see it that way. So it's in a state of flux. And this has become popularized. It has become fad. It's a faddish. It is a boutique thing of, let's go get somebody with money. This is a great way to win the lottery. and you get a settlement because the lawyer cost and court cost have become so expensive that it can be quite considerable to get a settlement, because the settlement, which might look enormous to somebody, is cheaper than the legal fees that somebody would be paying out. So, I mean, it's sometimes a con game.
Now, you're familiar with Shannon Sharpe because recently he paid $20 million to a quote unquote, I guess you could say, one of his ex-girlfriends who's 20. OnlyFans, she's on OnlyFans as a sexual model. He paid her $20 million because she claimed to be abused physically, emotionally, verbally, and I don't know if it was.
Well, let's go back with what I said. You got a lawyer who hasn't tried many cases, but he's charging an enormous fees. So the lit cost he's going to charge somebody to defend, and the time out from business is going to value out at $25 million. So he's going to pay that win, lose, or draw. So somebody might settle for $20 million, allegedly paid in installments, so that he doesn't have to pay out $25 million to win. Now, the other thing is pragmatically, people have liability insurance, and oftentimes if they pay enough in terms of insurance premiums, it's an insurance company that's paying this out rather than the individual in question. Let's be real about it.
Right. So I wanted to add this because of that lawsuit with the ex-girlfriend with Shannon Sharpe, this woman, this is making headlines because her lawsuit she filed in April, but it's starting to make headlines again.
Yeah, I know.
Shannon Sharpe just settled. He lost his job as well. He was let go from ESPN. But I want to play this clip here because this, and then I want to tell you the problem that I have with women like her and even women like Shannon.
Can I say one more thing real quick? Mm-hmm. It's a boutique situation. In other words, it's popular and it's bad. We talked about this before. If you have a situation where somebody is wrongfully killed, wrongful death, you have 1 or 2 years to file an action. But for a booty pinch, you get 25 and 50 years in some states. So how does a butt pinch become on the same level as a death?
Right.
Yeah. You gave them an opportunity to even be able to retract it, just to apologize. You sent out emails, letters, you've spoken with people, the producers over there, everything, and still they chose not to take it down.
Absolutely. So when it all began, this is back in April, many people are just hearing about it now, and that shows I'm not into trying to get a media hit about this. It got picked up. I'm not even sure how. I'm not really talking about the nuts and bolts of the case, but this case is about Shay Shay Media. It's about Pink Deer, the production company that was not fact checking it, or if they did not care enough. I sent emails, I sent letters. Clearly they opened it, they responded because they made it private. They did not take it down, and it didn't take it down immediately. And even as of July 31st, things were still on ways to find it on their podcast, on Apple and their other mediums in which they do it. And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yeah. And right now, as it stands, there's no oversight, there's no regulation, and there's nobody calling anyone on the carpet when they're earning tens of millions of dollars for clicks, likes, and follows and through advertisers. They don't have the overhead that you guys have here. They can have 2 men, a microphone, and a producer that's supposed to fact check, and they're not doing right by that. And as a private citizen, my rights were encroached upon. This is wrong. And something needs to happen about this. And I said, you know what? I'm going to see you in court, since they did not want to do the right thing.
Okay, why'd she get up and put that show on with the guy in the first place?
Right. So she's saying,
what do you think's supposed to happen when you do something like that? You try to grandstand it.
Right, because if you're a private citizen, you're at an Usher concert where it's all the cell phone cameras, and you getting cherries put in your mouth. You're not private anymore.
No, that's a public figure. That's on the New York Times versus Sullivan, 1962 U.S. Supreme Court. So you made yourself a public figure.
So maybe she hoping Shannon Sharpe.
She gets a settlement.
Yeah.
See, like I said, essentially what happens with most of these cases, when you get in the public eye, you get through a studio liability insurance. So it's the insurance company paying it off, not you.
Right.
Not always, but generally that's what happens. You know, you have the given, basically there's give and take in living. And you can't expect to be free from sticks and stones breaking your bones for real, but you have to understand that words will never hurt you unless they're so provocative that you want to go use sticks and stones on somebody. So, you know, one of the things is what did she get out of this whole thing? See, she opens herself up to, why did you go up and do this to this guy? What was your motive? What did you get out of it? What kind of benefit came to you? Why did you go put on like you had this kind of relationship with him? See, that's the reciprocal side of when you file a defamation action. It's like somewhere in here you're supposed to use common sense. But they don't. That's not popular these days. Everybody's too delicate and entitled.
Well,
our feelings got ruffled.
Not only that, everybody is trying to sue everybody because here it is. I saw this. Texas man sues woman for $17 for texting.
$17 for texting on their first date.
So where we headed at in society?
We're stuck on stupid and nobody gets raised to understand their consequences. I think maybe they can get away with it by teaching it in school. Maybe there ought to be required viewing that everybody look at the whole John Wick franchise series about consequences. They'd probably be interested in the fact that it's exciting.
To file your court papers is more than $17.
I know. It's like, see, in federal court, by the way, they have what they call there has to be a certain amount of money in controversy, or the thing has to have a certain value for it to be filed in federal court, even if the subject matter is something that would go in federal court. In other words, like, okay, come on, that's so cheap. It doesn't even make any difference. Go on about your business. That isn't worth our time.
Mm-hmm.
$17 is ridiculous.
Because she was texting. Just leave the date.
Damn fool.
And then you have the extreme of this woman is suing Shannon Sharpe for $20 million. Well, what about the other podcasters that was talking about her, you know, allegedly possibly being married and a husband leaving? Are you going to sue them? So if it's other podcasters that have mentioned her, wouldn't that help the case against her and in favor of Shannon Sharpe because she's not going after them? You know?
And then the other thing is, what damages did she suffer? I mean, if you're married to the guy, okay. If you're not, you're not. It's just, I'm not married to him. Well, they said, well, so what? You know, I'm not.
I mean,
so, I mean, is that insulting? It's like, you get in the public eye, all kinds of things get out, you know, like, how many times has your spouse been married? 1 time, no time, 4 times, 3 times, 5 times. You know, is that an insult because they got it wrong? Or that's his wife? No, it's not his wife. It's a co-worker. Okay, so what? I mean, is that an insult to say she was married to Usher? No, I'm not. That's it. You're wrong. So what? It's a mistake. And it doesn't cost you anything. What is it she supposedly got cost? What are her damages? You know.
Right.
And then see, if you're talking about mental distress, that you have to prove that you went to see a doctor, you know, and you suffered the following consequences and the following medical costs. Because there is this thing in American law, you're liable, but what are your damages? $1.
Let me throw this on this is my last point. Because this is starting to be a trend with women. Now, do you think it has to do with this new 2.0 feminist movement? You know, encouraging women to go after these public figures or celebrities for a check and to sully someone's reputation. You know, is this part of the feminist movement?
Yeah, it's just like this silly incel movement. And you too ugly, too lame to get laid, so you want to blame women because you're sitting at home jacking off all the time. You know, it's just as stupid when you lack what it takes to deal with the opposite sex. That's one of the attractions, I think, probably of this gay thing with LGBTQ. You don't have to learn how to deal with the opposite sex, because the reality, if you are an adult and you're straight, probably the most difficult thing you have to learn in life is how to deal with the opposite sex. And they don't have to. So, I mean, that's their business, but